The Jonathan Majors saga recently came to a close for the MCU as he was found guilty of misdemeanor reckless assault and harassment, but found not guilty of intentional assault. Whatever that means. Anyways, that doesn't matter. That's not why we're here. Welcome to The Things You Like. This week, we're going to be talking about all the different scenarios for Avengers 5 and 6. We've got scuttlebutt, we've got rumors, we've got nonsense, we've got pure speculation. Sounds like fun, if you ask me. Before we dive in, you should leave a like. Please and thank you. It's basically the fee for watching the video, and it's free. So do it, you monsters. Please and thank you. So, in this host's opinion, the studio has two options for the future of the franchise. They can replace Kang with a different big bad or recast him, which is perfectly fine. There are infinite Kangs in infinite universes. With that said, we're going to start today's conversation with replacing Kang with another supervillain. The first and most likely option to replace Kang is Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom is the most central character to the 2015 iteration of the Secret Wars story. I won't spoil the story here, but the character arc does line up to be used as a vehicle for a two-part story, which fits the Avengers 5 and 6 release dates that are a year apart. An early wish list from Marvel indicates that they have their eyes on Jason Clarke, Ralph Fiennes, Josh Hartnett, and Mads Mikkelsen. If you're just thinking about one or two movies, I'd go with Fiennes. He's the best actor of the bunch outside of Mads Mikkelsen, who has already been used in the MCU. If you're concerned with longevity, I guess I'd go with Jason Clarke, but that said, he is 54, which is only 7 years younger than Fiennes. As an aside, this list kind of clues you in about the trajectory of the franchise, especially when you consider they just cast Pedro Pascal, who is an older actor, as Mr. Fantastic. I don't think they're anticipating using these characters for very long. Another candidate, though, probably the least likely to replace Kang, is Galactus, the Planet Killer. With casting rumors already hitting the wind, it is possible, but his role in the Secret Wars isn't as a primary antagonist in the comic storyline. Not that that really means anything at all. He could always just be the antagonist for Avengers 5, and then Avengers 6 would just be Secret Wars. Marvel has its eye on Javier Bardem to play him down the road. If that doesn't work out, I think Bryan Cranston, Ving Rhames, or Mark Strong could all be good options too. I think that you need someone stoic and terrifying, and all these men have that potential inside of them. Another substitute villain that makes sense is the Beyonder. The Beyonder is the primary antagonist of one of the Secret Wars storylines. If you make Avengers 5 and 6 a Secret Wars Part 1 and 2 situation, this becomes a simple solve. Fans on the internet are screaming their darn heads off for Keanu Reeves to play the Beyonder, which I think is fun. If that doesn't work out, some other possibilities could be Johnny Depp, Nicolas Cage, or Clive Owen. Now let's talk about the other scenario, which is recasting Kang, of course. It appears to be the route that Marvel wants to go down. We've even got a little buzz around a name, but I'm not just going to stop at the one name. I've come prepared. I present to you 10 possibilities for the casting of Kang the Conqueror. Before we begin, I do want to remind everyone that there are infinite Kangs in infinite realities, so while there is a good chance that most of them share physical traits with Jonathan Majors, there are also John Goodman Kangs and Jada Pinkett Smith Kangs and Carlos Mencia Kangs. The moral of the story is that Kang could be literally anyone. But here are the options I would consider if I were in Kevin Feige's hat. A narrator's note: I personally love that now that I've foreshadowed a white Kang being on my list, I can literally hear the pitchforks being sharpened. I guess we'll have to wait and see if I put John Cena on the list or not. Numbers 10 through 8 is a conglomerate of all the CGI possibilities. My focus in this column went to older actors who probably couldn't do the physicality of the role, but as Kang is a purple alien guy, CGI is a very real possibility. And why not use some older actors with great voices in this role? I identified 3. The first being Morgan Freeman, who has the greatest voice of all time, but with further research I found that he is 86 years old. So his casting would be extremely unlikely. They probably wouldn't want to risk having to recast Kang again. Keith David is another voice actor who could do a perfect Kang. If you disagree, go listen to Goliath from Gargoyles and tell me that wouldn't be the perfect Kang. I also think Jonathan Adams would be good. His voice really suited Kang when he voiced him in the Avengers animated show. Number 7 kicks off our live-action versions of the character with John Boyega. John Boyega is the name I see the most from fans on the internet. I think that he is a bad fit for this character. And there are reports that he may still hold a grudge against Disney for how his character Finn was treated in Star Wars. Regardless, he would probably be fine, but in my opinion, I think he's too high energy. And with Kang being an ancient time master, I think you need someone who's more stoic then Finn. Number 6 is Coleman Domingo. Domingo is the buzz to replace Majors right now. He is the hot name, but he isn't who I would go for. I'm sure he would do fine, but he doesn't really have the voice that I think of when I think of Kang. But I do think he can play a psychopath. He can do a dead-eye stare really well, so maybe he's a perfect fit. That said, I've got 5 more choices I would choose before him. Number 5 is Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. Yahya has an extremely punchable face, which makes him a prime candidate to be a supervillain. He was just the villain of 2 Aquaman movies, Candyman, and I'm sure other things. So maybe he's tired of being the bad guy all the time, but Yahya seems like he is a realistic candidate, while some of the other options that are gonna be down the list a little bit may not be. Number 4 is John David Washington. John David Washington seems like more of an artistic actor than the actors that these roles generally attract. He has done sci-fi before, but one was for Chris Nolan and the other one was The Creator, which was a smaller budget film with no ties to a larger universe. With that said, I think he would be a great casting, if not for this, then something else down the road. A very talented actor, and I enjoy all of his work except for Amsterdam. That movie is essentially terrorism. I left that auditorium feeling like I had early onset dementia. Number 3 is Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright is a crazy talented actor and one of my all-time favorites. He has the voice and can definitely be sinister. The main roadblock to me saying that he is Kang is that he already has a place in the MCU. Currently, he lends his voice to the Watcher in What If. There obviously is a way for him to do both. What If, after all, is animated and the character that he voices doesn't look anything like Jeffrey Wright. Also, I don't think we are meant to ever see the Watcher in the Prime timeline. But who knows, there are stories that are possibly coming up very soon that he could be involved in, and maybe that's when we'll get to see Jeff in live action. That's right, I said Jeff. That's what his friends call him, and also me now. Number 2 is Common. Common is sinister as fuck. I mean, he may be the nicest guy alive, but that man is intimidating. Lonnie, as his mother probably calls him, is also a cerebral actor, and when you combine that with how he can make you shit your pants with a look, I think he would make an excellent Time Master. That said, he is in Silo at the moment, probably, unless that got axed during the writers and SAG strike. He feels like the linchpin of that show as well, so he might have a scheduling issue. Before we get to number 1, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I would ask that you consider doing so. Viewer engagement is what drives the channel after all. I thought it was hopes and dreams, but in reality, it's all up to you guys. Number 1 is the person that I would personally go with. He's incredibly talented and versatile, and he's a very thoughtful and wise man, which lends itself to the wisdom that Kang would have as the Time Master. His name alone is a huge draw for any film.
And his name is
Denzel Washington. Look, you only need him for 2 movies, so pay the greatest living actor $50 million a movie or whatever it takes, and the result will be an amazing Marvel movie. I get it, he's old, but they make it work in the Equalizer films, and they don't have shit for a VFX budget in those films. Denzel has the best range and talent of any actor to walk this earth. That's right, I said it. Go die in a ditch, Daniel Day-Lewis. To see Denzel bring his intelligence and genuine emotion that he can convey to a film would mean the fans would receive a villain that they deserve. After all, the strength of good hero movies comes from the villains. With that said, this has been The Things You Like. I put new videos up here every Saturday. Next week is going to be the final video in my Marvel series that I've been doing that you all have been so supportive of. In that video, we're going to see if Marvel is still the king in the industry, and who could their challengers be. So if that's something that you're interested in, go ahead and ring that bell to be notified of when it drops. If you're like me and love Marvel, I have another video that strategizes how to fix the MCU, and it's right there in that magical box. You can also help the channel out by going to the comments to leave me an attaboy, leave a suggestion for a future video, or tell me what you would do if you were the man in the hat. Or you can just come back next week so we can talk some more about the things you like.